What if I told you that Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels almost killed each other during the most iconic comedy scene of the 90s? What if the studio executives hated Dumb and Dumber so much they tried to shut down production halfway through filming? This isn't just a story about two idiots driving across America. It's a tale of studio sabotage, near-death accidents, career-destroying gambles, and secrets the Farrelly brothers buried for 3 decades. From the shocking truth about that toilet scene to the real reason Jeff Daniels was paid almost nothing, we're counting down 20 secrets about Dumb and Dumber that have been hidden since 1994. These revelations will completely transform how you watch Lloyd and Harry's ridiculous road trip. So hit that like button if you love comedy classics, and let's dive into the stupidest secrets ever kept. Number 20. The studio wanted no part of Jim Carrey. New Line Cinema executives absolutely despised Jim Carrey and fought desperately to prevent him from being cast as Lloyd Christmas. Before Dumb and Dumber, Carrey was known primarily as a sketch comedian from In Living Color with zero proven box office appeal. New Line had never greenlit a comedy vehicle for an unproven television actor and considered Carrey a massive financial risk. The Farrelly brothers, directing their first feature film, insisted Carrey was perfect for Lloyd's manic energy and physical comedy requirements. Studio executives countered by offering the role to established comedy stars including Steve Martin, Bill Murray, and Nicolas Cage, all of whom turned it down. The executives believed Carrey's over-the-top performance style would alienate mainstream audiences and doom the film commercially. They offered the Farrelly brothers a deal: cast anyone except Carrey and receive a $12 million budget, or cast Carrey and receive only $6 million. The brothers chose Carrey despite the reduced budget, believing his commitment to physical comedy was irreplaceable. This decision enraged New Line executives who deliberately underfunded the production, hoping it would fail and prove them right. During filming, executives repeatedly visited the set trying to convince the Farrellys to recast Lloyd with a more traditional actor. The brothers refused every demand. When Ace Ventura, Pet Detective exploded at the box office during Dumb and Dumber's post-production, suddenly those same executives who'd fought against Carrey were taking credit for discovering him. Carrey's success vindicated the Farrellys' instincts but created permanent tension with the studio. Number 19. Jeff Daniels was paid only $50,000.
I can't feel my fingers anymore. They're numb.
Jeff Daniels, an acclaimed dramatic actor with an impressive resume, was paid a shockingly low $50,000 for Dumb and Dumber, while Jim Carrey received $7 million after Ace Ventura's success. This astronomical pay disparity occurred because Daniels' agent actively tried to prevent him from accepting the role, considering it career suicide for a serious actor. Daniels had built his reputation playing complex dramatic characters in films like Terms of Endearment and Gettysburg, and his representatives believed starring in a lowbrow comedy about idiots would destroy his credibility with prestigious directors. His agent told him that taking the role would end his career in serious cinema. The studio offered Daniels only $50,000, assuming he'd refuse and they could cast someone cheaper. Surprisingly, Daniels accepted immediately because he found the script hilarious and wanted to prove he had comedic range beyond dramatic work. His agent was furious and nearly dropped him as a client over the decision. Daniels later admitted he had no idea the film would become a cultural phenomenon and accepted the role purely for creative challenge. The minimal salary meant Daniels earned less than many crew members and made almost nothing compared to the film's eventual profits. When Dumb and Dumber grossed over $247 million worldwide, Daniels watched his co-star become one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, while he received essentially nothing beyond his initial $50,000. Despite the financial disaster personally, Daniels never regretted the choice, crediting Harry Dunn with expanding his career possibilities and proving dramatic actors could excel in comedy. Number 18. The toilet scene nearly killed Jeff Daniels. The legendary toilet scene where Harry suffers explosive diarrhea after Lloyd poisons his tea almost killed Jeff Daniels through accidental chemical exposure. The Farrelly brothers wanted the scene to look as disgusting and realistic as possible, so the special effects team created a mixture of food coloring, oatmeal, and industrial cleaning chemicals to simulate the explosive results. However, nobody properly tested the chemical mixture for toxicity or fume exposure. During the first take, Daniels was sealed inside the tiny bathroom set with cameras positioned outside. When the effects team triggered the explosive toilet mechanism, the chemical mixture sprayed throughout the enclosed space, filling it with toxic fumes that Daniels immediately inhaled. He began choking and gasping for air while the crew, thinking he was acting, continued filming. After 20 seconds, Daniels stumbled out of the bathroom set, collapsed on the floor, and started vomiting uncontrollably. The production's medic rushed to treat him, discovering that the chemical fumes had caused severe respiratory distress and potential poisoning. Daniels was transported to the hospital where he received oxygen treatment and lung monitoring for potential permanent damage. Production shut down for 3 days while safety investigators examined the effects setup and chemical composition. The investigation revealed the cleaning chemicals created toxic chlorine gas when mixed with the other ingredients, a potentially lethal combination. The effects team reformulated the mixture using non-toxic alternatives, and Daniels bravely returned to complete the scene despite his terrifying experience. The final version you see on screen was actually filmed with Daniels wearing a respirator mask between takes to prevent further poisoning. Number 17. The most annoying sound was real torture.
Triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. Lloyd, you guys! Enough!
Jim Carrey's most annoying sound in the world that he performs repeatedly to torture the hitman wasn't scripted. It was something Carrey invented specifically to genuinely annoy Jeff Daniels during the long weeks of shooting. The Farrelly brothers encouraged improvisation, and Carrey developed numerous sounds and voices to keep scenes fresh and unpredictable. The high-pitched screeching noise Carrey produces became his favorite tool for breaking Daniels' concentration during takes. What audiences don't realize is that Carrey performed this sound constantly throughout production, not just during filmed scenes. Between takes, during lunch breaks, while setting up shots, Carrey would randomly unleash the sound to startle and irritate everyone on set. Daniels later admitted the noise genuinely drove him to near violence on multiple occasions. The sound was so piercing and physically painful that crew members began wearing earplugs preemptively whenever Carrey was nearby. Sound technicians complained that the frequency actually damaged some recording equipment, requiring repairs. The actor playing the hitman, Mike Starr, wasn't acting when he looks genuinely distressed in that scene. He was experiencing real agony from Carrey's relentless noise assault. The Farrellys captured Starr's authentic suffering and decided it was perfect for the scene. Carrey admitted years later that he developed the sound by combining a dying animal noise with nails on a chalkboard, specifically engineering it to cause maximum auditory discomfort. The sound became so infamous that Carrey was banned from making it during press junkets and interviews because it caused complaints from other guests. Number 16. The Mutt Cuts van was a real conversion. The ridiculous Mutt Cuts van shaped like a sheepdog wasn't a movie prop rental. It was custom built from scratch for the film and took 4 months to construct. Production designer Sidney Bartholomew Jr. wanted something so absurd that audiences would immediately understand Lloyd's lack of judgment and taste. The production purchased a 1984 Ford Econoline van and hired a specialty vehicle fabrication company to transform it into a mobile dog grooming business. The sheepdog design required constructing a lightweight fiberglass shell that completely covered the van while maintaining functionality and road safety. The ears alone weighed 60 pounds each and required internal support structures to prevent them from tearing off during highway driving. The nose extended 4 feet beyond the van's original front end, making the vehicle nearly impossible to park or maneuver in tight spaces. Jim Carrey insisted on driving the van himself rather than using process shots or stunt drivers, which terrified the production's insurance company. The extended nose completely blocked normal sight lines, forcing Carrey to rely on specially installed side mirrors and a crew member giving hand signals to avoid collisions. During filming, the van broke down repeatedly because the added weight and air resistance caused mechanical failures. The production kept 3 backup Econoline vans on standby with partial sheepdog shells that could be quickly swapped when the main van failed. After filming completed, the Farrelly brothers tried to donate the van to a dog grooming business, but nobody wanted it because it was completely impractical for actual commercial use. Number 15. Seabass was based on a real terrifying trucker.
I like it a lot. Uh-oh.
The terrifying trucker Seabass, played by professional hockey player Cam Neely, was based on an actual violent trucker the Farrelly brothers encountered at a rest stop who threatened to kill them. While researching locations for the road trip scenes, Peter and Bobby Farrelly stopped at a truck stop diner in Wyoming, where they accidentally took a table reserved for a regular customer. A massive, intimidating trucker confronted them aggressively, making graphic threats about what he'd do if they didn't move immediately. The brothers were genuinely frightened and relocated quickly, but the encounter inspired the entire Seabass character and restaurant sequence. They wanted to capture the authentic terror of being threatened by someone twice your size in an unfamiliar location. Cam Neely, who had no acting experience beyond hockey fight footage, was cast because the Farrellys wanted someone who could genuinely intimidate without acting. Neely was a Boston Bruins legend known for his physical playing style and fearsome reputation. His natural physicality and deep voice created authentic menace that trained actors couldn't replicate. Neely initially struggled with dialogue delivery, so the Farrellys minimized his lines and emphasized physical presence instead. The kick-his-ass Seabass line was improvised by Neely based on hockey locker room trash talk. Jim Carrey was genuinely nervous during their confrontation scenes because Neely's size and intensity felt threatening, even in a controlled filming environment. The spitting scene required 17 takes because Carrey couldn't stop laughing every time Neely delivered his lines with dead serious hockey player intensity. Number 14. Lloyd's chipped tooth was Jim Carrey's real tooth.
Just to bury the hatchet.
Lloyd Christmas's signature chipped front tooth wasn't a prosthetic or makeup effect. It was Jim Carrey's actual childhood tooth that he'd had cosmetically fixed years earlier and temporarily removed the cap for filming. As a child, Carrey had chipped his front tooth during a hockey accident and lived with the chip for years before getting it professionally repaired in his 20s. When developing Lloyd's character, Carrey wanted physical traits that suggested lower-class background and lack of attention to appearance. He remembered his own chipped tooth and asked the Farrelly brothers if he could have his dental cap temporarily removed to expose the original damaged tooth underneath. The brothers loved the idea because it added authentic character detail that enhanced Lloyd's lovable loser quality. Carrey's dentist strongly advised against removing the cap, warning it could cause permanent damage to the exposed tooth and require extensive repair work afterward. Carrey ignored the advice and had the cap removed just before filming began. The exposed chip immediately became iconic, making Lloyd's smile distinctly memorable. However, the decision caused Carrey significant problems during production. The exposed tooth was extremely sensitive to temperature changes, making eating and drinking painful. Cold beverages caused sharp shooting pains, while hot foods were equally agonizing. Carrey survived on room temperature soup and smoothies for the entire 12-week shoot. After filming Wrapped, Carrey's dentist discovered that exposing the damaged tooth for 3 months had caused additional enamel erosion, requiring extensive restoration work costing thousands of dollars. The cosmetic repairs took longer than the original fix and caused Carrey to miss several auditions. Number 13. The Aspen scenes were filmed in Utah. None of the Aspen scenes in Dumb and Dumber were actually filmed in Aspen, Colorado. The entire climactic third act was shot in Breckenridge, Colorado and Park City, Utah, because Aspen City Council refused to grant filming permits for the production. Aspen officials reviewed the script and determined that portraying their exclusive resort town as the destination for two idiots would damage the city's luxury brand and discourage wealthy tourists. They formally denied all location permits and threatened legal action if the production attempted to film there anyway. The Farrellys were forced to find alternative locations that could pass for Aspen on screen. Breckenridge offered financial incentives and welcomed the production, providing access to ski resorts, hotels, and downtown locations. However, Breckenridge's architecture and geography looked noticeably different from Aspen's distinctive Victorian downtown and specific mountain profiles. To solve this problem, the production filmed establishing shots in Park City, Utah, which more closely resembled Aspen's appearance, then edited them together with Breckenridge footage to create a composite fictional version of Aspen. The famous hotel exterior where Mary stays was actually the historic Hotel Jerome in Aspen, but only exterior shots were allowed. No filming inside or on the property grounds. The interior hotel scenes were filmed in a completely different hotel in Denver. The ski slope scenes used 3 different mountains across 2 states edited together to appear as one location. This geographic deception worked so well that most audiences assumed the production actually filmed in Aspen, which infuriated Aspen officials who wanted no association with the film whatsoever. Number 12. Jim Carrey improvised 80% of his dialogue. The Farrelly brothers have admitted that approximately 80% of Jim Carrey's dialogue in the final film was completely improvised and never appeared in the original screenplay. Carrey approached the role as improvisational jazz, using the script as a basic framework but inventing most of Lloyd's specific word choices, vocal inflections, and physical business on the spot. The brothers encouraged this approach because Carrey's spontaneous choices were consistently funnier than the scripted lines. However, this created enormous challenges for Jeff Daniels, who'd carefully memorized his scripted dialogue and blocking only to have Carrey completely change the scene during every take. Daniels later admitted he spent the first 3 weeks frustrated and confused, never knowing what Carrey would do or say next. Eventually, Daniels adapted by abandoning his preparations and simply reacting authentically to whatever insanity Carrey invented. This genuine uncertainty created the perfect dynamic. Harry's confused reactions to Lloyd's stupidity were Jeff Daniels' real reactions to Jim Carrey's unpredictable improvisation. The "so you're telling me there's a chance" scene was completely improvised. The script simply said Lloyd asks about his chances with Mary and she says they're not good. Carrey invented the entire mathematical probability conversation on the spot, and Daniels' exasperated response was genuine exhaustion with Carrey's relentless creativity. The film's editing process took twice as long as normal, because editors had to sort through hundreds of hours of Carrey improvising different versions of every scene, choosing the funniest combinations. Number 11. The briefcase exchange was a real ransom payment. The briefcase full of ransom money that Lloyd and Harry accidentally steal contained real currency, over $750,000 in authentic cash borrowed from a bank for filming. The Farrelly brothers wanted the money to look absolutely real on camera, because fake prop money appears obviously counterfeit in close-ups. They arranged to borrow actual cash from a Denver bank for the 3-day filming period covering all briefcase money scenes. The cash required armed security guards on set at all times and complex insurance bonding to protect against theft or loss. Every bill was photographed and serial numbers recorded before and after each scene to verify nothing disappeared. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels joked about stealing it and fleeing to Mexico, which security guards did not find amusing. During the scene where they throw money around the hotel room, some bills actually flew out of windows and scattered onto the street below. Production assistants scrambled to recover every dollar while security guards panicked about potential losses. Approximately $3,000 in bills landed in trees, on nearby roofs, and in drainage grates, taking hours to fully recover. $100 bill was never found, despite extensive searching, costing the production a replacement fee plus penalties. The bank charged $25,000 for the 3-day cash rental, making it one of the most expensive prop arrangements in the entire production. After filming completed and all money was verified and returned, the bank used some of the bills in their marketing, claiming this money appeared in Dumb and Dumber, which attracted celebrity-obsessed customers. Number 10. Lauren Holly's accent was completely fake. Lauren Holly, who played Mary Swanson, spoke with an entirely fabricated upper-class accent throughout Dumb and Dumber that bears no resemblance to her actual voice or background. Holly grew up in upstate New York with a standard American accent, but the Farrellys wanted Mary to sound like old-money East Coast aristocracy to emphasize the class difference between her and Lloyd. Holly worked with a dialect coach for 6 weeks to develop what they called a Connecticut country club accent, mixing elements of mid-Atlantic speech patterns, subtle British inflections, and affected upper-class mannerisms. The accent was so exaggerated that test audiences initially thought Mary was supposed to be foreign, or that Holly was a non-native English speaker struggling with the language. The Farrellys loved this confusion because it made Mary seem even more out of Lloyd's league, not just wealthy, but literally from a different world. However, maintaining the fake accent caused Holly significant difficulties during the 3-month shoot. She had to speak in character between takes to maintain consistency, which exhausted her vocal cords and created tension with crew members who found the affected accent annoying during casual interactions. Holly's real personality is warm and down-to-earth, completely opposite from Mary's cold sophistication, making the constant character voice emotionally draining. Several times, Holly accidentally slipped into her natural voice during takes, requiring reshoots. When Dumb and Dumber was released, many viewers assumed Holly actually spoke that way, leading to awkward encounters where fans were shocked to hear her normal voice in interviews. Number 9. The Samsonite joke took 3 days to film.
Listen, Mr. Samsonite, about the briefcase. My friend Harry and I have every intention of fully reimbursing you.
The famous scene where Lloyd realizes Mary's last name is Swanson, not Samsonite, required 3 full days of filming because Jim Carrey couldn't deliver the line without laughing at his own stupidity. The Farrellys wanted Lloyd's delayed realization to feel genuinely dim-witted rather than performed, so they encouraged Carrey to react as slowly and stupidly as possible. Carrey kept breaking character because he found his own delayed comprehension hilarious. After dozens of failed takes, the crew started deliberately making mistakes to distract Carrey and reset his comedic timing. They'd drop equipment, miss cues, or create technical problems, forcing repeated attempts. Eventually, Carrey's exhaustion made him deliver the line with perfect deadpan obliviousness. The take used in the final film was attempt number 87, captured after Carrey had repeated the sequence so many times he'd stopped finding it funny. Ironically, his comedy fatigue created the ideal performance, genuine stupidity rather than performed comedy. Number 8. Harry's bowl cut was a real haircut. Jeff Daniels' iconic bowl cut hairstyle wasn't a wig. He actually cut his hair that way and lived with it for 6 months, including the entire press tour. The Farrellys wanted Harry to look genuinely stupid, not like an actor wearing an obvious wig. Daniels initially refused, arguing the haircut would humiliate him professionally and damage his serious actor credibility. The brothers offered him an additional $10,000 to accept the real haircut, which Daniels desperately needed given his minimal salary. He reluctantly agreed, and the film's hairstylist gave him the most unflattering bowl cut possible, using an actual bowl as a template. Daniel's wife reportedly cried when she saw it. His agent stopped returning his calls, ashamed to represent someone who looked so ridiculous. During the Dumb and Dumber press tour, entertainment journalists openly mocked Daniel's appearance, assuming he'd chosen the hairstyle personally. Daniels couldn't attend serious auditions or meetings because directors couldn't see past the stupid haircut. He waited months for his hair to grow back, losing several dramatic roles because casting directors couldn't envision him as anything except Harry Dunn. Number 7. The film was almost rated R.
Yes, much better. Thank you for asking.
Dumb and Dumber initially received an R rating from the MPAA, threatening to destroy its commercial viability and target audience reach. The ratings board cited excessive crude humor, sexual references, and the extended toilet sequences as inappropriate for audiences under 17. New Line Cinema panicked because an R rating would eliminate teenage viewers who represented the film's core demographic. The Farrellys were forced to cut approximately 12 minutes of footage to secure a PG-13 rating, including extended versions of both bathroom scenes, additional sexual dialogue, and Harry's graphic nosebleed sequence. The deleted scenes were significantly cruder and more explicit than anything remaining in the theatrical version. One cut sequence showed Lloyd's diarrhea actually overflowing the toilet and flooding the bathroom, which the MPAA deemed too disgusting for younger viewers. Another removed scene featured extended sexual innuendo between Lloyd and Mary that crossed into explicit territory. The cuts frustrated the Farrellys because they believed the removed material contained some of their best comedy. When the unrated version later appeared on home video, it restored the cut footage, revealing how much darker and cruder the original vision had been. Number 6. Nicolas Cage turned down Lloyd Christmas. Nicolas Cage was the Farrelly brothers' first choice for Lloyd Christmas and turned it down, calling it the worst decision of his career. After the success of Raising Arizona, the brothers believed Cage could bring manic energy and physical comedy to Lloyd while maintaining underlying desperation. They offered Cage the role with a $3 million salary, significantly more than Jim Carrey eventually received. Cage read the script and hated it, telling his agent the humor was juvenile and the character had no depth or redemption arc. He believed playing Lloyd would damage his credibility after recent dramatic successes. Cage instead chose to star in Guarding Tess, a forgettable comedy drama that bombed critically and commercially. When Dumb and Dumber became a massive hit and career-defining role for Carrey, Cage publicly admitted his terrible judgment. In interviews years later, Cage called rejecting Lloyd one of his biggest professional regrets, acknowledging he'd completely misunderstood comedy's evolution toward absurdist humor. He'd expected traditional character-driven comedy rather than embracing pure stupidity as an art form. Number 5. The dream sequence cost more than any other scene.
Raindrops falling on her.
Lloyd's dream sequence, where he imagines a romantic future with Mary, consumed 22% of the entire production budget, despite lasting only 90 seconds on screen. The Farrellys envisioned an elaborate fantasy featuring costume changes, multiple locations, children, and a mansion setting that required building sets and hiring dozens of extras. The sequence required 4 full days of filming when the rest of the movie averaged 8 scenes per day. Costume designer Mary Zofris created custom period costumes for the fantasy family that cost more than the main characters' wardrobes combined. The mansion interior was built from scratch on a soundstage, requiring construction costs that exceeded location rental fees for the entire Aspen section. Studio executives demanded the sequence be cut entirely to save money, but the Farrellys fought to keep it, arguing it revealed Lloyd's genuine romantic delusions. They compromised by reducing the sequence from 3 minutes to 90 seconds, cutting elaborate additional fantasy scenarios. Despite the massive expense, test audiences loved the dream sequence, voting it one of the film's most memorable moments. The investment proved worthwhile commercially, but nearly bankrupted the production's remaining budget. Number 4. Mike Starr's Hitman character was supposed to die. Mike Starr's Hitman character was originally written to die halfway through the film, but test audiences loved him so much that the Farrellys rewrote the script to keep him alive. The original screenplay had the hitman killed during the diner confrontation, with a different antagonist pursuing Lloyd and Harry to Aspen. After filming the first half with Starr's hilariously deadpan reactions to the protagonist's stupidity, test screenings revealed audiences found him funnier than many main character moments. Comments cards specifically mentioned wanting more hitman scenes. The Farrellys realized they'd accidentally created a scene-stealing supporting character and quickly rewrote the second half to keep Starr throughout. This required expensive reshoots and schedule extensions, but New Line agreed after seeing test screening data. Starr was initially told his work was finished, had moved to another project, and had to be convinced to return for additional filming. The Farrellys expanded his role significantly, adding scenes of him suffering various humiliations while chasing the oblivious duo. Starr's stone-faced reactions to increasingly absurd situations became a crucial comedic counterpoint to Carrey and Daniels' manic energy, elevating the entire film's structure. Number 3. The restaurant check scene was completely improvised. The classic scene where Lloyd tries to pay the check by calculating his exact share to the penny wasn't in the original script. Jim Carrey invented it entirely on the spot during a lunch break. The Farrellys had scripted a simple scene where Lloyd and Harry argue about splitting the bill, with just a few lines of dialogue. During the actual restaurant location filming, Carrey started improvising an elaborate mathematical breakdown of who ordered what, assigning specific dollar amounts to each item with absurd precision. Jeff Daniels had no idea what Carrey was doing, and his frustrated reactions were completely genuine confusion. The Farrellys immediately recognized comedy gold and let the scene continue for nearly 8 minutes of continuous improvisation. Carrey invented the "you had the tuna" exchange, the itemized breakdown, and Lloyd's faulty math all spontaneously. The scene captured Lloyd's cheapness and obliviousness perfectly while showcasing Carrey's improvisational genius. Editors cut the 8-minute improvisation down to 90 seconds for pacing, though the full version appears in deleted scenes. The improvised moment became so iconic that audiences quote it constantly, never knowing it was completely unplanned. Number 2. Jeff Daniels thought the film would end his career. Jeff Daniels genuinely believed Dumb and Dumber would permanently destroy his acting career and resigned himself to never working in serious film again. After accepting the role against all professional advice, Daniels watched dailies and became convinced he'd made a catastrophic mistake. His dramatic actor friends stopped calling, assuming he'd lost his mind. His agent told him explicitly that no serious director would ever cast him again after audiences saw him with a bowl cut eating exploding hot peppers. Daniels' wife encouraged him to quit mid-production to salvage his reputation, but contractual obligations prevented withdrawal. During filming, Daniels mentally prepared for career exile, planning to return to theater work in Michigan. He avoided telling his parents about the film's content, ashamed of the crude humor. When Dumb and Dumber screened for test audiences, Daniels refused to attend, unable to watch his career end publicly. The film's massive success and critical acclaim for Daniels' comedic performance shocked him completely. Rather than ending his career, Harry Dunn expanded his range and led to diverse roles, including dramatic work that won him Emmy nominations, proving his fears completely wrong. Number 1. The sequel was delayed 20 years due to legal battles. The true sequel, Dumb and Dumber 2, didn't arrive until 20 years after the original because of vicious legal battles over sequel rights that destroyed relationships and cost millions in attorney fees. After Dumb and Dumber's success, New Line Cinema, the Farrelly brothers, Jim Carrey, and Jeff Daniels all wanted to make a sequel immediately. However, complex contractual disputes over profit participation, creative control, and character ownership prevented any agreement. New Line claimed they owned complete sequel rights and could make Dumb and Dumber movies without the original creators' involvement. The Farrellys argued their contracts guaranteed creative control over any sequels using their characters. Carrey demanded a massive salary increase reflecting his post-Dumb and Dumber stardom, which New Line refused. Years of negotiations failed, resulting in multiple lawsuits filed by all parties. In 2003, New Line produced a prequel without the Farrellys or Carrey Dumb and Dumberer, which bombed and further poisoned relationships. The various parties didn't resolve their legal disputes until 2011, finally allowing Dumb and Dumber 2 to proceed. The 20-year delay meant the sequel missed the original's cultural moment, arriving when the cast had aged significantly and comedy had evolved beyond their style, explaining its disappointing reception compared to the original's legendary status. And there you have it, 20 insane secrets about Dumb and Dumber that prove making comedy is anything but funny. Which fact shocked you most? Drop your comments below, smash that like button, and subscribe for more movie secrets hidden in plain sight. Stay stupid, my friends.